Beautiful. Let me see if we're looking good. Just warming up the... Okay, nice. We have audio. Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. I hope everybody is having a beautiful Sunday morning. My name is Brendan Diaz, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Today, I'm going to do a bit of a deviation. The last couple videos have been research articles on personal finance, and I really wanted to touch on this subject here. So it's called Education Pays 2019 Report by College Board. Now, they might have a newer version out, but when I was teaching at the University of Buffalo, for students who were interested, or just for students in general who maybe were struggling through their studies, I would share this with them to try to galvanize them to action, and basically say, you know, I understand that education right now might seem like a burden because it is a challenge, but it will pay off in the future, right? So investments in education at the personal level are well established, and well established in the sense that there is a relationship between wealth and income. So I want to just go through this article with you guys. I find it fascinating. Excuse me. And even in my own studies, sometimes I'll refer back to this article just to get a bit of inspiration. So if you're like me and you're going through maybe undergraduate studies, high school studies, postgraduate studies, then you might gain to benefit from an article like this. So just a brief informal, I guess, good morning and a happy Sunday to you guys. And what a better way to share time than looking at research and just sharing some coffee. I don't know if you guys are drinking coffee or about to, but cheers. Okay, so I will skip down. This article has a lot of excellent graphs, but the introduction just basically elaborates on what type of payoff you're looking at when you engage in higher education. And it is at the individual level. But when I say that, there are also benefits to society on the whole. So they just go through college enrollment by race, ethnicity to start off, so some information on demographics. And it looks like recent high school graduates, so of this population or data, 70% were white, 66% were Hispanic, 60% were black. Doesn't look like there's any representation for Asian or Island Pacificers. 18 to 24-year-olds. So we got 42% white, 37% Hispanic, and then 37% black. Let's see. We'll skip through the gender data. We'll get to the more interesting bits. Score. So there's a trend here, by the way. There's a trend that if you are better at math, it looks like you have a higher tendency or higher probability of engaging or enrolling in college. Now, this is at the undergraduate level. Educational attainment. So here's the interesting bit that I was taking a look at before I started the live stream. I wanted to start at 10, but I kind of got wrapped up in this article, and I was like, oh, I need to start this. So educational attainment. In 2018, 39% of individuals that were sampled, right, and this is, of course, a representative sample of Americans, 39%, right? So 39% of individuals in today's day and age, maybe a little bit more since this is 3 years old at this point, have a bachelor's degree. 28% have a maximum of just some college. 26% have a maximum of just a high school diploma. And then 8% of Americans have a maximum of less than a high school diploma. Now, this is radically different. I mean, a radical switch compared to something like the 1950s or the 1940s. And I actually referenced this in, I think it was yesterday's video. But it's not the norm. It's not the norm in America that people have higher educational attainment and post-secondary education. In the 1950s and 1940s, look at this, 5-6% of individuals had a bachelor's degree or higher, which is fascinating to me. I will skip through this, College enrollment. So check this out. So college enrollment and attainment by state. So if you're like me and you're trying to maximize the probability or promote optimized conditions in your life that will lead to wealth and higher income and higher outcomes as far as health, because in my opinion, health is just as important as your wealth, then you'd be looking at stuff like this, where maybe you'd want to select or reselect the place that you live on the basis of college enrollment, because if you're like me, you know that college enrollment will ultimately lead to higher education, right? And then higher education, post-secondary education, graduate education, becoming a professional, then leads to higher income jobs, lower probability of an unemployment, and then higher overall outcomes birthed from that wealth and that higher income. Things like health, higher marital satisfaction, which we'll see in a moment, lower probability of smoking, etc. So take a look at this. Let's see. Percentage of adults with at least a bachelor's degree. So 29% percentage of 18 and 24-year-olds enrolling in post-secondary education. So this is how this bar chart, this vertical bar chart, is organized. And it looks like the winner as far as enrollment goes, at least at the start, is Rhode Island. But then the percentage of adults with at least a bachelor's degree, we're looking at DC with 57%. So, I mean, it might be such that, well, I mean, take a look at DC here. DC is towards the bottom of this list too, which is where you'd want to be. So it might just be that maybe more folks flood DC with bachelor's degrees, right? But I'd say that the way this list is organized is fair. So if you want higher wealth and higher income birthed from professional jobs, jobs that require post-secondary education, then of course you have to start with college enrollment and college education, right? So these are the states where, you know, everybody else is doing it. Rhode Island, D.C., Massachusetts, Delaware, California, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, New Hampshire, Michigan, Maryland, etc. And then some of the offenders, right? So I guess you'd want to avoid these states because they're I guess in the environment there are just factors that are presenting themselves to individuals that oppress or depress college education enrollment. So we're looking at Arkansas, Nevada, New Mexico, Wyoming, Idaho, all these places, Hawaii, yep, Texas. So these guys here, I guess you'd want to maybe make plans to move if you're looking to optimize the chances that you engage and complete college and post-secondary education. Let's see, education earnings and tax payments. So if you do in fact successfully complete a course, a post-secondary course, such that your college is completed and then your graduate is completed, let's say like a medical doctor, lawyer, then this would be the breakdown on average. Is it average? No, median, on median. So you would have a total income package of about $120,500 per annum, so year over year. And then of that, you would pay $32,400. So of all these groups listed here, you would be paying the most in taxes, which is neither a good nor bad thing. I'm not trying to make a political statement here, but it's just the way things are organized, and it makes sense. We have a progressive tax system in our society, so that would be the case for you. If it's a doctoral degree, right, so a PhD, then about $20,000 less, but you're looking at a similar composition when it comes to taxes, payment, and then the income, the earnings that you're left with, the net earnings. Then we take a look at master's degrees, so we're thinking MBAs, MPH, MSW. You're looking at an $80,000 package on median, right? So you have what does that mean? You have a 50% chance, right, of earning these figures, assuming you attain this education level, right? So whatever education level you choose, and there's a 50% chance, because it's just, the math is such that 50% of individuals, let's say with a professional degree, earn higher than $120,500, and then 50% of individuals earn lower than that figure. Now, if you stop at the bachelor's degree, then the arithmetic has it such that $65,400 would be your total package, and then the list goes on. And I'm actually going to link, once I upload this, if you're watching this later, I will upload a link to this article so that you could reference it yourself. Now here is this is really the piece that I wanted to get to. Earnings premium relative to price of education. So I think it was yesterday I was talking about this where, it'd be tough, right? If let's say you're pursuing higher education, maybe a graduate degree, and you have some friends from high school who are earning more than you, or really earning, period, right? In school, maybe you're not earning, you're earning $0. But these folks who you graduated high school with, they've entered into the workforce, and maybe you entered with them, but then you decided to drop out to pursue higher education. So you dropped out of the workforce to pursue higher education. Your net income, your earnings are zero, and then their earnings are steadily increasing with promotions and increases of responsibility. Maybe they pick up a second job, so they're using their time fully. So their earnings are like this. Your earnings are basically zero. But then what happens is when you attain higher education, right, about the age of 34, 35, 36, your earnings start to break away. They break away from the individuals, and it doesn't just have to be your friends. It's really, I mean, this is science. It's the population that did not achieve your high level of education. You'll see over time the earnings, right? This is what this word means, premium. This difference between, in this case, a bachelor's holder and then an associate degree holder. That difference of about $400,000 of lifetime earnings. That's what they refer to when they say the premium, right? So that's what you're paid because of the action that you took back here to achieve a bachelor's degree. You postponed, right? There was an opportunity cost. You postponed several tens of thousands of dollars in the beginning to get a bachelor's degree, but then you got a job or you started a business that then enabled you to save this amount of money, earn and save this amount of money. Earnings premium relative to price of education. I'll skip that. Earnings distribution. So this is fascinating. There appears to be, and it's almost common sense. There's a distribution skew such that if you hold an advanced degree, 43% of individuals with advanced degrees in the United States, according to the Census Bureau, earn more than $100,000. Which is nice to know, because if you're investing so much, in an advanced degree, you'd want to make sure that there is a high chance or high probability that a large income is waiting for you, right? And then for a bachelor's degree, it's about 28%, and it gets harder and harder to earn over $100,000 as you decrease in educational attainment. Earnings by race. So there's at this point, I think individuals know unfortunately, we've become more aware than ever of differences across genders and across races, which are largely a government construct to make a distinction between groups of people that I don't necessarily agree with, but I guess I understand the distinction for studies purposes, right? What do I mean by distinction? I just simply mean the races here. We're all the human race. That's my personal opinion, and I don't really like to recognize these man-made construct distinctions. But nonetheless, we have them, and then this is the result when studied. There are differences such that minority individuals experience differences when it comes to income and earnings across different educational attainment statuses. So I won't touch on this too much. I'll let you guys take a look at that if need be. Earnings by gender and educational level. So here's a representation of that, an unfortunate representation of that. Male and female earnings should be equal. And they're not. And that's something that we have to fix at the policy level, such that incentives are introduced into society that will disable or erode this difference here, right? If you look at this male, the top 75th percentile of professional degree holding males in America earn $235,000. So that means, this essentially means you have a 25% chance, if you are a male with a professional degree, of earning $235,000. The exact same person, right, with the only difference being genitalia, $155,000, 25% chance. It's not fair. But I'm not here to make political statements. Of course, I think you see where I'm inclined. But if you want to take a look at this further, you can do so. Ultimately, I think what's most beneficial here is the fact that there is an upward trend. So there are things that we can do, actions we can take, right? In other words, education we can attain to push the needle up in our favor, so to speak. Let's skip through this. Earnings path. Okay. Here's another example of you postponing or experiencing an opportunity cost, right? Postponing your earnings while other folks aren't, and then it changes over time. So at 25 to 29, if you're earning a professional degree, you're earning less than someone who has a doctoral degree, and relatively close to other folks who have lower levels of educational attainment, and it goes in an order that you would expect. But then over time, you see this separation or distinction between the different curves. Earnings by occupation and educational level. I'll let you guys take a look at that. Earnings by college major. This is funny. So don't do early childhood education, I guess, is the takeaway here. No, that's not true. We need our educators, and I would say that this is less so. Well, let me put it like this. You, as an individual, you have an opportunity to make money regardless of what educational focus you choose. I think it's really on the individual to change these figures. And I think that the fact that early childhood education is at the bottom, it's simply a representation of what our current society in America pays, right? So what policies are in place that incentivize people to earn an early childhood education degree, right? So in other countries, teachers and professors are paid much more than teachers or professors here. And I think that those other countries have those policies in place, or just generally have that zeitgeist in their society that lends itself to people in charge paying professors and teachers more. And when I say professors, I don't mean at the post-secondary level. I mean at the high school, middle school, those lower primary school, elementary school levels. This is the future. These are the futures of our country, right? The children that are being taught by these folks, and the fact that that earnings are at the bottom for these very important people, I think is concerning. But nonetheless, this is the reality as it is now. So, I guess selfishly, if you're looking at this from the perspective of, well, I want to maximize the opportunity, and I don't mean selfishly in a bad or moral sense. I just mean more self-centered or focused on the self. Computer science currently yields a very large median income package at the early and mid-career stages. Business analytics, economics, finance, these are all your winners. Nursing, physics. And then at the bottom, you're looking at art history, biology, English language, sociology. Variation in earnings by institutional sector. No, this isn't interesting. Unemployment. Here's something, right? So if you're thinking defensively, right, or if you're a parent or soon to be parent, or if you just want to become a parent in general and be responsible for little people, children, I think it's important to think about factors that inoculate your family from poverty. And this is one of those factors, unemployment. So I think that this the graph here follows a trend that you would expect. Lower education leads to higher rates of unemployment, while higher education inoculates you from unemployment. So this is definitely something to think about. We could think about financial targets, I guess, using our greedy reptilian brain, and or you could think defensively, and you could think from the perspective of, well, if I engage in or attain higher levels of education, then regardless of income level, regardless of the amount of money that I'm making year over year, at least I'll be making something to the tune of greater than 97% of the time, right? So this is just taking the inverse of this unemployment rate. So in other words, assuming you have a bachelor's degree or higher, this figure looks to be about 2.5%, 2% unemployment rate. So the reverse of that, the complement, is 98%. So you have a 98% chance of earning all those figures that we mentioned above. I think it was like 60,000 median income, right? So that's important. That's important. It's not so much the actual level of income, right? But there's also, unfortunately, in this life, an opportunity for us to earn $0, right? In an unfortunate case. And so how many times over will you experience that at these different levels of education? And as it stands now, or at least as it stood in 2019, individuals with bachelor's degrees or higher experience a 98% execution rate, successful rate when it comes to earning income, period. Right? And then if you look at less than a high school diploma, the figure becomes dramatically higher. I mean, we're looking at 5%. This is more than a doubling. Look at the distance from 0 to orange line, and then from here to the baby blue line. Well, blue line. Yeah, definitely something to consider, guys. In fact, this almost scares me more into completing my JD MBA than anything else, because to think of a future where I want to have kids with my beautiful wife, to think that there's a future where there's a 2% chance, even a 2% chance, that I'll have $0 in income at a point in time where I was once earning and then it goes to zero. That's scary. So imagine if I, at least from my perspective, if I only executed at a high school diploma level or college level. There's a lot of people who downplay the educational enrollment and attainment, right? And I was looking at this one, I was talking about this yesterday on my video. I was looking at this one video by Motivation University, and it was like Kevin O'Leary and Mark Zuckerberg, and all these anecdotes and excerpts of these individuals saying basically education is useless. Getting a bachelor's degree is useless. What are you doing? You don't need that to lead a business. You don't need that to start a business. Guys, the percentage of individuals who are successful in business, I remember reading this somewhere. I think it's something along the lines of, in 5 years, if a person starts a business in America, in 5 years, you have a 30 or 40% chance of failing. And then in 10 years, you have a 50% chance of failing, right? And this book was written in the 1990s. And then they said that the average lifespan of a business founded, so like a middle-of-the-road business, I'm not talking about a business that goes public, a private business, 40 years is the lifespan of this business. So it's not even something you could really pass on to your children if you are successful. I mean, you're rolling the dice. You are rolling the dice when it comes to starting and maintaining a business. And this is not to dissuade you from starting a business, not at all. But if you're just looking at the numbers and you're looking at it from an analytical perspective, like how I like to look at it, then this provides some explanation behind at least my actions. Taking a look at the statistics and just engaging in activities that lend themselves to the highest probability of stability, wealth, health, outcomes, marital outcomes, relationship outcomes, life satisfaction. And I mean, nowadays, I did a video on this when I did the Amazon video in, I think it was last year or maybe the beginning of this year. And McKinsey did a study where they took a look at the S&P 500 companies from the early 1900s through now, and they were looking at their lifespans and how the lifespan has been changing. And what direction do you think the lifespan's been changing at? It's been changing at a decreasing rate. So maybe in 1920, the average lifespan of an S&P 500 company was 50, 80 years. Most recently in 2015, I think, or 2016, it's only 14-year lifespan, right? These companies are just burning out like bright burning stars. You know, the brighter the star burns, the shorter its life. And these are what these companies are looking like. So even at the pinnacle of business success, going public, trading on international markets, OTC markets, trading on home markets, NYSE, NASDAQ, right? Assuming you can get your business from zero to that, right? Even then, the lifespan is very short, and you're going to have to find some other investment strategy, take your money from your earnings from selling and all this. So, again, not to dissuade, but just taking a look at the statistics of it. I'm getting off the soapbox now. Let's see if there's anything else. Health insurance. Let's see. Look at this. Among both full-time and part-time workers, those with higher levels of educational attainment are more likely than others to be covered by employer-provided health insurance, right? And that's incredible, because if you don't have health insurance, and if a health emergency happens, and you can't pay if you don't have health insurance. So achieving a higher level of education lends itself to a higher probability that you will have health insurance. Going back to my last video, so yesterday's video, what does health insurance promote, right? If you have health insurance for your family, then that means it's more likely that you're going to save for your offspring's education, post-secondary, in other words, college education. And that's very important. So, you know, stringing these articles together, guys, at least I see it. I think you guys see it as well. There's this interplay, this relationship, these correlates between educational attainment, wealth, health status. Yeah, let's end this. Social mobility. Ooh, this one hits home. You know, if you weren't born with a silver or gold spoon, then social mobility should be on your radar, right? Let's take a look at what's the most interesting thing here. Let's see. Okay, so I just want to touch on this. I'll read this off. The percentage of students who end up in the top 2 income quintiles as adults is strongly correlated with the selectivity of the college they attend. However, within each college selectivity level, the percentage is highest for those from more affluent backgrounds. And as we all know, your ability to get into a more selective college, at least in America, lends itself to better outcomes and higher social mobility. Looking at poverty, right? So now thinking defensively, excuse me, for all household types, the poverty rate falls as the level of education attainment increases. The 2018 poverty rate for individuals with an associate's degree was 7% compared to 13% for high school graduates with no college experience. I mean, that's very direct and important and kind of scary. Public assistance. So you have a higher likelihood of engaging in some program that provides public assistance if you have lower educational attainment than higher. Something maybe less so that I guess I would have thought was related, that is related, is smoking rates. So if you have a bachelor's degree, you have maybe a 7% chance of smoking, versus if you have, let's say, less than a high school diploma, you have a 25% chance of smoking. All right, and we all know smoking leads to poor health outcomes. So educational attainment even has import directly with smoking and other health factors. Exercise. Among adults aged 25 to 34, 69% of individuals with at least a bachelor's degree and 47% of high school graduates reported exercising vigorously at least once a week. And this one's obvious. If you exercise vigorously at least once a week, chances are you're going to have better health outcomes. And look at this relationship. This is a statistically significant relationship, guys, between educational attainment and exercise. We'll skip through this. Parents and children. Civic involvement. Here's one that's far out there. The share of adults who perform unpaid volunteer activities increased with education. So pro-social behavior in society. If I was a policymaker and I'm seeing this, I'm thinking, I need to get my people educated, because this will lend itself to volunteers in the community, civic involvement. And then also voting. So same deal, same deal. And I think this is touching more on the society level now, right? So what are the benefits to educating a populace? These are the benefits. Voting rates are higher among individuals with higher levels of education. And then here are the references. So I'm going to end this video today. I'm going to take off. It's Education Pays 2019 by the College Board. I'll link it in the description below, so that way you guys can take a look at it. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day. Happy Sunday to you. If you're new, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be pushing out some more videos like this. And also subscribe so you can continue to gain insight on how to analyze business performance, so that way your investment performance is optimized. Remember, when your investment performance is optimized, so is your wealth production. I'm going to figure out a way to turn off this live streaming client. I'll see you guys.